everybody, welcome to another video of Trading with Jackie. I'm Jackie Panetta, and so today's video is just me showing the people who had asked about how I set up my charts utilizing the AIM software. The AIM software is encompassing arrow, red light, green light, and market maker trend. Okay, so today is Sunday, so and I have a new live account here. It's funded, so I needed to for market maker trend anyway. You're not going to be able to see the line because the markets are closed, but I need to prepare my chart anyway, and I'll just update it when 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern happens, which is when NASDAQ's market will open. And the reason why I say that is now I trade NASDAQ. That's one of the indices that I trade. But the same thing can be applied to any currency pair, okay, or any crypto, whatever. Same thought process and logic will apply. So this is how I'm going to be marking up my chart, setting it up for use this week. I'm going to be focused only on NASDAQ this week. I found that when I try and catch gold or oil or whatever, I get distracted, and I'm going to just focus solely on NAS. Only because I've been working with it for like the last 4 to 5 months now, and I have a really good feel for it. And so I just rather just work with what works. You know, if I feel like delving into currency pairs, I will. But for right now, NASDAQ is my main focus. But I will put up two currency pairs as well and go through the process. And most likely that would be AUD JPY and AUD USD. Okay, so let's get started. Let me set up my NASDAQ. So since this is a brand new account, I had to go get a new symbol. Let's go bring over the chart. That was right click, chart window, or you can just click and drag if that's what you want to do. Alright, so right click, properties. I'm going to clean up my chart so that I make it look like the way I want it to look. Okay. That's that. Now, next thing I do is I place arrow template on first. So I'm going to go to templates, and this is because I'm in the Avoria Prime VPS. Arrow is already a template saved. So I have the arrow template. Done. I have arrow there. Alright. Next thing after arrow is I put on red light, green light. Okay. So we're going to go to the navigator. Red light, green light is the indicator. So you're going to click on it, either double click or click and drag, and I am going to make sure that these two are always checked. And then I use the T1 trend logic. That's my preference. I mean, you can use either or. T1 brings up counter trend and trend trades. T2 brings up mostly trend trades. Alright, but I'm usually scalping NASDAQ, so T1 would generate more trading opportunities for me. But I'm going to put it on T2 just to see if I just want to follow the trend, what's going to happen. Alright. Of course, we're going to display an indicator to take profits. These don't do anything. This is just to bring up lines on your chart so you can identify where the take profits are. So when you do place a trade, you could drag it to them. I don't really use it. So, and then of course I'm going to enable entry push notifications, because if I'm away from my desk, I need to make sure I get my notification that there's a signal. Alright, so that's done. Hit OK. Red light, green light is showing on the H1. We are in a downtrend. Okay, so arrow, red light, green light is up. Next thing I'm going to load onto this chart, because this MT4 terminal has arrow and red light, green light combined. So it's the entire arrow software suite, which includes binary ATM, the dashboard, the risk manager, and the trade manager. The trade manager I really only use during Asian session for scalping. Other than that, I don't really use the dashboard too much because I'm pretty much going to be focused on NASDAQ, and I only need one chart open for that. But the binary ATM, a lot of people have been using it, and they've been using strategy 11, which is a fire strategy, but I'm incorporating it with the one candle strat that I've been using for arrow and red light, green light combination. But so the last thing I'm going to bring over on this MT4 terminal is the binary ATM. So I'm going to double click, make sure DLL imports are there, and then just hit OK. All right. Now, this is my chart. It's been built. It's what I'm looking for, but it's not done. Okay. This is off of the H1. So if you were looking at it just right now and you see, let me bring this down a little bit. Yeah, let me bring it up a little bit more so I can see more of what's going on here. Okay, so this up arrow alert, right? This was a bag entry alert. This was strategy 2 of arrow, this white arrow here, all right, off the H1 on NASDAQ. So it was a bounce from a support zone, arrow, go. You would have been in on this candle here. At the same time, okay, when this hour candle closed, you had a binary ATM buy alert as well. When that happened, this is what it looked like on the chart. Okay, so price came down, crossed over, and then crossed back up again. That's a committal. It's not a committal off of the oversold area, which is what strategy 11 is, but it is a new committal. So if you wanted to be able to do a little riskier strategy 11, you could have took the buy on this candle, which would have been in the impulse, and then a second position off of the bag entry. Okay, as you can see, there is no red light green light signal at this time on this chart, from what I can see. And it's probably been a while. Yep, there it is. They're further back here, earlier in March. Now these are interesting too, because here's a one candle strategy of red light, green light, and arrow happening right here. You know, arrow down, which is a bounce, arrow go, and then you have the red sell direction from red light, green light. All right, so on this candle you would go for the sell. Fabulous. That's awesome. But then you also have strategy 11 that was in play right here as well. You had the sell alert on strategy 11. Then you had on that candle here, so you would have got in on this candle here, but you would have to wait, because did you get a committal? You did not get a committal in this overbought area yet, not until this candle. Once that candle closes, then you would have been on this candle for the drop. Then when the strat 1 of red light green light occurred, you could have got in right there in another drop for an extended maybe 2 position trade. All right, or 3 position if you wanted to take it for the bag entry that it generated. Okay, so those are utilizing strat 11 plus the one candle strat of arrow, red light, green light combined, plus just a regular strategy 2 of arrow, bounce, arrow, go, and just a regular red light, green light, taking the sell and going. All right, so potentially all those strategies together, you could have had multiple positions, or you could have just had one position and just utilize everything as additional confirmations. Okay, that's what I'm using when I have all of these on my chart. All right, now that's over on the H1. However, I am usually down on the M1 or the M5 time frame, and I am scalping. Okay, so when I'm scalping, this is what I am on. I'm on the M5 during New York session, and I'm on the M1 during Asian session. Okay, so this one wants to, I'm gonna have to load red light, green light back on here again. All right, so that updated. So let me put red light, green light back on, because sometimes it does that, and that's okay. It doesn't matter, but you know, it's let's see here. That's red light, green light, and then let me throw that back on there. Remember, that was T2 that I was showing. Let me put that up. Okay. Now, T2 is showing here. Notice how all this is occurring. And I know for a fact that this drop was caught with red light, green light, but on T1, I believe. So T2 is not going to give you as many entries or shall I say, uh, potential trading opportunities, but when they come, they're fire. Like this buy right here. Here's a strat one right here, one candle strat right here, and then it's gone. They don't happen often, but they're fire when they do. So I usually take a time and I wait, for trading opportunities. Now that's with Trend Logic 2. Now if I go ahead and update it and I switch to Trend Logic 1, you should see more um, trading opportunities. See, here goes that sell that just popped out of nowhere. Alright, here go another one. But notice how this sell here, and it gives me the one candle strat, and then it doesn't go. It fails. Why? Because of this right here. Okay, so some sauce for you guys. As I'm using the one candle strat and I'm looking at the ones that fail, I'm trying to see why they're failing. So this is a clear example. This is the one candle strat, but look at where it's at when you throw the binary ATM on there. It's in the oversold area. All right. So once it went into the oversold, I'm not going to sell no more. Okay? It's done selling. All right? So just ignore it. Don't do That's not a trade for you. This is off of Trend Logic 1. If you had Trend Logic 2, you wouldn't even have been in that situation. But I'm usually on 1 because I want more trading opportunities. But that's a clear no-no to take this trade. All right? So you have to be able to make sure that you are analyzing your trades. Here's a sell here. This is not a one candle strat, so I wouldn't even have been paying attention to this at all. Okay? I'm taking my entries off of the one candle strategy. I'm trying to keep my life simple, utilizing the software. Okay? So, that would have been a no. This was from Friday, so of course it's not going to go fine. It's whatever. There are plenty of Strat 11s that I could see right here. This is a beautiful buy for Strat 11, and it goes. All right, so if you want to use the Strat 11 strategy at Arrow, that's beautiful. It goes. Here's another one. Right here, Strat 11 of Arrow, it goes with the drop, right? If you want to incorporate that, I keep it simple because I have to sit here and watch my chart for this to happen. So I'm not trying to do that. All right, but now let's go back to, let's see here. Look at this day. And I'm only trading New York session too. So anything after 1630 is where I'm up and I'm trading. All right. So here is the same buy. Remember I showed you on Trend Logic 2, it appears. So this is a strong indication. Take the trade. All right. So let's walk through it. This is a one candle strat. We got the buy and then the arrow. I'm in it right here. On NASDAQ, that's an easy 300 pips for me. All right. Easy 300 pips. And how far did it go? 847 pips. All right. This is a different broker, so I got to read that right. 847 pips. I only needed 300. And it gave me what I needed. On this, and this is even showing up on Trend Logic 1, but it actually came up on Trend Logic 2. It made this a stronger buy. Now, if I'm looking at it, and you're like, well, Jackie, you said on the other one, it's a sell and it was an overbought, you would ignore it. You're right. This one is in it was an oversold. You would have not sold it. You're right. In this one, when it happened, it's way overbought right now, right? Technically, I shouldn't have been into that trade. The only reason why I took it was because it was a trend 2, a T2 logic trade following the upper trend. That's why I would take it. So the binary ATM would have filtered it out, and you were going to be like, oh, I'm not going to take this buy. But like I just said, all right, T2 gave me the same buy. T2 is a stronger, more quality trade than the T1 trade. I'm taking it. And boom, it goes. Okay? So I wanted to make that clear. And let me go ahead and put T2 back on here. Like I said, I was using T1 with no problem. Alright? But in researching the one candle strat trades that were failing or hitting stop loss, I had to go see why. And the reason why was when I threw the binary ATM on there, it was able to filter out the bad trades for me. So that's why. But it's a T2. I'm golden. Look, if we go back again, see there's no T2 here. Don't take the trade. You wouldn't even have questioned it, right? So T2 is what I'm staying on now. Only because, again, I'm on a new live funded account and I just want to make things a lot more simple for me. So when I catch a trade, I catch a trade. You know, that's not going to mean that I ain't going to use Strat 11 now because Strat 11 look fire right here, right? This is a beautiful drop that Strat 11 caught, you know? Look at this M. That's not really an M though because this is higher than this, but there's another way name in that. But you know, same thing. Here's another strategy 11, but it ranged and then dropped. But those are things that you can kind of work out yourself. I wouldn't have been able to trading this. This is after market open. So just so you know, just keeping aware, T2 is what I'm looking at. All right. That's how I mark up my chart so far. Now, two more steps. All right, that I do on NASDAQ. So this is the most recent chart. I'm always on the M5 during New York session, by the way, okay? Um, Utilizing the one candle strategy. If I was down on the M1, the trend changes quite a bit. But let's show you what M1 looks like. So this is M1 on NASDAQ with arrow, red light, green light, and binary ATM. If you want to take a look. Let's see. Does binary ATM give you, excuse me, does red light, green light give you a trade down on the M1? Not all day. You don't get near one. Nothing. Not until way back here. You had a T2. Okay? And again, this ain't even the time of day I would be trading. So, all that mess, all of this mess here. T2 give you a quality trade, but they're not one candle strats either. I'm looking for a T2 trade that's a one candle strat. I'm not seeing no one candle strats here. All right, none. You know what? None. I'm not seeing them. So if you don't give me a one candle strat, I ain't taking a trade. And then it's done, of course, because it won't go back any further. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. All right, on the M1 or on M5. I'm gonna go back to the M5 because it's a little easier to mark up stuff. All right, so now I'm on the M5 time frame. The next thing I mark up is high and low of the money zone. All right, strategy 4 of arrow, money zone breakout. So I'm gonna highlight it. Here's the top, and we'll go ahead and horizontal line. I'm gonna try and make it nice and bright so I can see it. All right, and this is money zone high. All right, boom. Next one down here. Double click on it, right click, horizontal lines, money zone low. That's it. Done. Okay? So since I'm done with that, that's what I'm looking for is when price breaks out of that zone, I'm in there. That's a strat 4. And if it coincides with a one candle strat of red light, green light, and arrow, that's even better. Or if it coincides with a strategy 11, that's even better. Okay? That's one thing. And then the last thing is to mark up Asian session. Now, of course, I can't mark that up today because Asian session hasn't occurred yet. I will mark it up tomorrow morning during New York so that way I can see the high and low of Asian and whether or not NAS broke out of there or not. And that's how I mark up my charts for the week. Okay? It can get very confusing and you see all this stuff and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. It won't be confusing if you build it yourself and you understand what you're reading as you see all this. This is all a lot of stuff on here, but really I'm looking for mainly arrow and red light, green light giving me my combo. Are you going to give me my one candle strat? Right? Or are you going to give it to me off of my T2? Are you going to give it to me like you did right here? Because if you give it to me like you did right here, that's wonderful. By the way, that's the last leg of a W right here. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4. One candle strat. Go. I love it. Okay? So honestly, this is there's two one candle strats here. There's this candle, then there's a candle here, and then there's a red light, green light here. That's the third way of doing the one candle strat that I'm actually starting to take a little bit more interest in, because I haven't been doing that, but Nate has mentioned that version. The version I do is this one, where they're right next to each other or it's on the same candle. But that one candle in between, as you can see, it went off. So this technically could have been a two position trade. And I'm on the M5, I'm going for 300 pips a piece. So technically this would have been a 600 pip move in two trades, minimum. And as you can see, it went more than that. So that's phenomenal. And having a binary ATM on there showing you it's the last leg of a W, everything worked to the benefit in your favor on this day. This was Thursday. All right. And if you only get 600 pips for the week, that ain't nothing to cry about. Okay? That's 600 pips. Live with it and move on. You know? You want more pips? Go down to the T1 time frame. T1 on red light, green light, and see if it'll generate you more trades. It'll probably generate you more trades, and you might take ones that would appear here that might be an L. Okay, you're going to have to just take that chance. Alright? But powers, quality over quantity is what I say. Alright, so that's arrow, red light, green light, binary ATM, marked off the money zone. I'll mark off Asian session tomorrow morning when Asian session actually closes to see if it breaks out. Now, all on this one, now let's go to this MT4 terminal. Okay, on this one, this has market maker trend. Okay, so on this one, market maker trend, everything's closed with this broker for the weekend on Sundays. So I'm not going to be able to update market maker trend to show you where the line is. But what I can do is just set the chart up. So I'm going to have it arrow. Again, this terminal, because I have market maker trend, arrow is already on here, and I can have market maker trend and both of them together. So here's arrow, H1, and then I'm going to place market maker trend on there. Make sure I allow DLL imports and then hit OK. Alright, long as it's there, it's fine. It doesn't need to be auto trading or anything because it's not really turned into an EA yet. It's just the indicator. But as of right now, you're not going to see anything because NAS market is closed until let me see, with this broker it is closed until I believe 6 p.m. Eastern. Let me go to specs, and yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern. Alright, so that's when it'll open up. When it opens up, you'll see the market maker trend notifications telling us we're in market maker buy or sell. I believe it was way back here where it said we were in a buy from last week. So it's interesting to see if it still maintains that or if we're getting ready to turn into a sell. But either way, it's good to go. I have it loaded, and then we're going to be good, and then I'm going to see what's going on. And the only last thing I would do on this one when I'm on market maker trend is I would mark up the time frames based on my fib, pretty much. So I see this range breakout drop from off of this upward movement on the daily. So see how we are always on this upward movement on the daily. That, alright, see how far back you got to go for this movement up, and you have all these pullbacks off of this trend, so it's kind of hard to do like a daily time frame fib for people, but I would just go to a lower time frame to make it a little easier for yourself, because technically I'm not really trading daily. So here's the H4. Now on the H4 you can clearly see that it's been in a downtrend, right? And then we just pushed up. So is this push up a retracement of this downtrend, or Is it restarting the uptrend that it was originally on, as you saw on the daily time frame? Don't know. But what I will do is I will draw for this move, and I'm just going to come here to the H1, and now you can see that H4 movement a little better on what transpired and how far back price really moved. All right, and I'm zoomed all the way out. So my high, I'm gonna use my Fibonacci retracement tool. My high up here, this is the new low down here. High, low. Okay, pull back 78.8. Might be ready to turn back around again. If you want to see it on the H4, this is the move I drew. Okay, I drew this move when honestly I could go a little bit higher up. If I can get it. There we go. If I really want to go back to the high that started that move, this is where it is. And at that point, see how the fib level has changed now depending on where my high is. Alright, so if I wanted to really go to this one, which is what started the move, like this was a range, it broke out and then dropped. Now look at it. Price is sitting here playing at that 50 level. Okay, so then I would, when market maker trend updates to tell me where we're at, if we're in a buy or sell, I'm gonna look at my fib and say, okay, based on where you're at on this chart, you're playing in the 50% zone. Are you getting ready to keep going up, or are you ready to turn around now? All right, it's a nice move up that Nas did, and we're always perpetually bullish, but if you want to turn around, I'm going to be ready for it. So when it wants to turn around, and market maker trend has an MA that if it's above it, I'm going to stay bullish, and any pullbacks or any sells would be considered a pullback or retracement. So I wouldn't necessarily stay in them too long, but as long as I'm above the MA that market maker trend is telling me and we're still in a buy, I would be looking for holding longer buys. All right, so I know this video was long, but hopefully this helped you guys understand how I'm trading and what I'm using to help me trade. Typically, arrow and red light, green light are for scalping strategies that I'm using when I'm down on the lower time frame. And then market maker trend is one where I would utilize more for long-term swing trading. Okay? Alright, well, that was it. Hopefully this answers everybody's question. How I'm catching the one candle strat, how I'm using binary ATM, all of that to help find quality trades, okay? Quality over quantity every time. Alright? Okay. Y'all take care of yourselves and make sure to message me. I'll leave my link to Telegram in the description box of this video. If you're interested in getting this software, I'll leave my link also in the description box of the software so that you can go ahead and get set up with ensuring that you are going to try the software out. Alright, there's a 7-day money back guarantee. So if you get it, you don't like it after 7 days, you can get all your money back. Alright, y'all take care of yourselves. Have a great day. And message me if you have any questions. Happy trading. Bye.